guys and gals, Never here from Drake Wing Gaming, and something out sort of the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Angels with Scaly Wings, Adine's Path. So y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go. Alright. I was on my way to the hatchery when I heard a voice call out to me. Hello there! Oh. Wait, 1 second, did I not? Huh. That's weird. I could have sworn I saved past that. I did save past that. Y'all saw it. Let's go back to load and do autosave. No. We'll just continue from here. There we go. Okay. Alright. Hey, I'm Kevin. Keegan, nice to meet you. Could I perhaps interest you in our Midwest institution? Is this some kind of religious thing? Not at all. It's a college. Sorry, but I already got my degrees. Yeah, I know. It was just a joke. Oh, so me going to college is a joke now. I'm not good enough. Is that it? Not at all. Even if you wanted to study there, I don't think you'll be with us long enough to make use of it. I think that came out wrong. You're lucky I won't take this the wrong way. Whew. So you're a recruiter for this college? No, this is just my summer job. Once the semester starts up again, I'll actually be attending to get my degree in psychology. Ah, college. Wonderful times. Was that sarcasm? Maybe. I didn't even know you had colleges here, though. Well, you do now. Why'd you even approach me if you know I'm not going to go to college here? Don't tell me it's just because I'm human. I was actually trying to talk to that old lady who walked by, but once you turned around, there was no going back. Oh, well, thanks for not making things awkward. Hey, I treat everyone nicely until I have reason not to. That's good customer service. Sure, but it's not just for the job, you know. That's just me. Why don't you come over to my place later? I'd love to hear more about what college is all about in this world. Then you found the right person for the job. I can't promise anything right now, but maybe I'll see you another time. For sure. I also have to finish this up here, but after that I'm free. Alright, I'll let you know. I'm here all day today and tomorrow, so it shouldn't be hard to find me. Great, I have to get going now, but I'll be sure to let you know if anything's up. Sure, see ya. See ya. Here we are again. Hey, Keegan, what are you doing here? Oh, I just came by to drop these off. Drop what off? The stolen eggs. I figured the hatchery would want them back. Oh, I was actually going to get those from the police department later. I'm so glad they got back safely. Emily, stop chewing my leg. Aw, it's tasty. Oh, well. Anyway, I was about to go inside, so I'll take this off your hands. Thanks for bringing them here. No problem. You return the eggs to the hatchery. Extraordinary. Alright, let me, Woo! Some good stuff right there. Thanks for all your help. Now that the facility's received the bandage, maybe we'll discover something new. I'm afraid that's not the case. I brought the bandage back. What? Why? I'm not sure what's going on, but apparently the police raided Anna's lab, so she wasn't in a condition to accept it. Is that so? Strange. I hadn't heard about this. I'll have to talk to the others. Actions like that will stall the Reza case, and that's not something we can afford right now. I'll take care of the remaining tasks, so you can take the rest of the day off. I'm sure you have things to do other than helping the police department. It's no problem, really. My trip to your world wasn't supposed to be a vacation. Alright then, I'll see you next time. See ya. After this fateful day, I was glad to finally have some sort of respite. I wandered into the kitchen as I considered tonight's dinner. Should I cook something or order out? When I returned to the living room, I suddenly found my strength leaving me and collapsed to the floor. Oh, God. Yep. And thus the truth of this horrible place. The next thing I saw was a blurry stone ceiling. As my eyesight slowly returned, I managed to sit up. I was in a cave, and before me stood a familiar, mysterious face. I apologize for the violence, but I can assure you it was the easiest way. Looks like you've seen this before. Nope. As you wish. Where am I? Is this your hideout? Just a temporary accommodation so we can be undisturbed for this meeting. Someone else used to live here until recently. Do you know who I am? Well, you're not Reza. Good. What did it take for you to figure that out? Since you're not whispering anymore, I can hear it clearly in your voice. I had a feeling that you couldn't be him since the first time we met, though. Which first time are you talking about? The generator in the cellar, when you pushed me. I see. You can call me the administrator. No other humans are supposed to be here, though. I assume that's why you're wearing the mask. You don't want to be recognized. That is correct. Whoever you are, you also saved my life. On more than one occasion. Your presence here doesn't make any sense. You couldn't have come through the portal. The dragons would have noticed. This is where you are wrong. My arrival through the portal is what led the dragons to discover it in the first place. Is that so? When I crawled out from the hole in the earth that hit the portal and there were no guards to discover me, my appearance exposed the portal, but the dragons didn't know it was there yet. So you arrived even before Reza. That makes you the actual first human to come to this world. That is more true than you might think. Who are you, then? I may have arrived through the portal like you, but my story is very different. Oop. Wait, no. Water time. Before the fall of humanity, I was an engineer. I was part of the team that was formed to create bioweapons. Our task was to create these bioweapons in a country where their development hadn't yet been regulated or outlawed. These weapons were planned to be a low-cost alternative for poor countries to wage war, so they would no longer have to rely on expensive drones and machines for warfare. I was to set up the lab where our bioweapon development would take place. It was a clandestine operation set to be in the middle of the wilderness. The laboratory was an independent research and living unit, and provided everything we needed without having to rely on external resources or even an existing power grid. Everything was to be teleported right into the middle of nowhere, with no traces or paper trail to follow, so international communities and law enforcement would have no idea of our operations. Our only connection to the outside world after setup would have been a two-way portal to our headquarters, who would then provide everything we needed. While we already could teleport individual people, teleporting a whole building was another matter entirely. Our solution was matter compression technology, incredibly expensive, but operating in the gray market was also very lucrative. The technology behind it was much more complicated than even teleportation, despite being based on it. While teleportation works by utilizing black holes with a beginning and an end, compression technology relies on a loop, keeping matter in a sort of limbo state until the loop is broken. Working with black holes was very complicated to begin with, but this shape required much more finesse, and thus was much more expensive. I was to be sent alone to set up the lab and the portal so the rest of the team could arrive safely. In case you didn't know, it is possible to use a portal to send someone to a previously defined endpoint. Therefore, it is not required to have a portal of the destination to be sent there. But as you can imagine, this is also very dangerous. A single variable off by a fraction could mean the difference between landing safely at your destination and smothering in space. Of course, my employer did not want anything like that to happen. Not necessarily for my own sake, but because of all the unfathomably expensive equipment I had with me. Regardless, something went wrong anyway. Despite all their checks and safeguards, they could only minimize the risk so much. Even if the risk is a fraction of a fraction, sometimes you were just that unlucky. And sometimes it turns out that your bad luck is a blessing in disguise. I arrived safely somewhere in the jungles of Earth, yet it was not the destination that had been planned. I knew something was off, but nevertheless, I set to work immediately. At the very least, I could prepare the building. I would have shelter, and then I could begin preparations for our project. Getting the portal into working order would take more time, as it was a complicated process that could take several weeks. If things had gone wrong as I suspected, I would at least be able to establish contact with the headquarters after the portal had been set up, and I would be able to return. While teleporting the lab to the wrong location was certainly a costly mistake, I was still lucky to have my life. Before long, I discovered the truth about the place I had arrived. While I was still on Earth, it was not the Earth I knew. It was the Earth of 65 million years ago. We knew that by utilizing black holes for teleportation, time travel was a theoretical possibility. It was something even my company didn't dare to attempt, though, as teleportation in itself was still a very new technology. Yet here I was, 65 million years in the past with a research station all to myself. The company would revel in the opportunity to study and profit from all the different life forms I could see, if only they knew about them. I spent a few weeks setting up the portal as planned, yet when I tried to reestablish connection with my employer, I was met with silence. Despite the time discrepancy, the portal should have been able to find my company in the present. For a black hole, sending something through time is no different than sending something through space. However, when we built the portals, we gave them a specialized configuration. It was only possible to travel through space by aligning them across the time. across the time axis. That meant that I, in the past, would still be able to search the portals in the present to connect with. My counterparts in the present, though, would not be able to find me in the past even if they tried, but I couldn't find them, not a single one. Even after checking the portal for its function, I determined that, for all intents and purposes, the portals from the company should have been there to connect with. It was then that I had a terrible realization. The portals in the present didn't exist anymore, or were no longer operational. Maybe the blunder of teleporting the lab caused them to reconsider the risks of using this technology. After all, it was already controversial and had been outlawed in several countries. I wouldn't have been surprised if they decided to cut their losses, but it was highly unlikely that they would have immediately shut down every single portal and left me stranded without notice. Portal technology was still being relied on in several places in the present. In my mind, only one possibility remained: superweapons. Various nations had been using them as bargaining chips for some time. I didn't think the threats had become that serious, but one of them must have launched their weapon and destroyed the majority of Earth. It could have been the result of a malfunction, or perhaps the political situation had escalated. Either way, it was not possible for me to establish any means of communication to find out what had really happened. I could have sent myself back into the present with the right coordinates, but this was a risky endeavor, and I also had to ask myself if it was the present I wanted to return to. I was sure that if anything was even left of our world, the aftermath or a possible retaliatory strike would take care of the rest. In the end, I had to realize that whichever present did exist was likely not the one that was worth returning to. It made my decision all the easier. Instead of returning to a destroyed civilization, I saw an opportunity. Rather than creating bioweapons, I could use the lab to create a new civilization shaped by my own ideals. I had all the necessary data and the most modern methods and machines at my fingertips. Besides, most of the processes had already been automated. In the end, I still used the lab for what it had been created for, fusing human and animal DNA to create beings that were mostly animal, but possessed a greater intelligence that allowed them to learn whatever we wanted them to. As I didn't have any animal samples sent with me, and when I initially arrived, I collected them from the sources available to me. Automated processes mixed the DNA further across the samples. New abilities were added, like enhanced armor, flight, and spit weapons to make the new creatures more effective in combat. The result was a number of different species, each tailored and optimized to fill a specific role in a war situation. Hormones allowed me to speed up their growth, and with the lab's learning program, they could be educated in whatever manner I saw fit. My first concern was self-sufficiency. They needed the kind of knowledge that would enable them to come together as their own independent society. Luckily, the AI that automated all the processes in the lab was more than helpful. I unleashed the first generation of my creation, and as their leader founded our first village. I thought we could really pull it off, and once I saw that they could survive without my guidance and also govern themselves, I knew my plan was a success. When I realized that this new society would eventually be destroyed, I told myself that I would do anything I could to save it. Destroyed? What are you talking about? Haven't you realized where we are? The Chicxulub asteroid is headed for us. With a diameter of over 10 kilometers, its impact will create humongous clouds of dust, throwing Earth into a literal dark age. It will block out the sunlight for over a year, killing off many species of plants that rely on photosynthesis to survive. As a result, animals that eat those plants will also vanish, as will those who sought sustenance from these herbivores. All in all, 75% of all species will vanish, and in terrestrial ecosystems, all animals heavier than a single kilogram will die. That would be 2.2 pounds, in case you didn't know. It will be the end of everyone who lives here, every single dragon you have seen, unless we do something. Alright, y'all, I'm going to pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!